Hello and welcome to Exam Study. Today we will be discussing about the Chief Election Commissioners, the list of Chief Election Commissioners in India. See, Election Commission is a constitutional body that is described in Article 324 of the Constitution. So, Article 324 of the Constitution deals with the Election Commission. Now, you will have to tell me in the comment section which part of the Constitution deals with the elections. So the Election Commission has a very important role in our political process. It look after all the elections of Prime Minister, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. All these are looked after by Election Commission, but Central Election Commission has no role for the elections of panchayats and municipalities at state level. For that, they have state election commissions for every state. Now, the first post or the first election commissioner was appointed in 1950. Now we will be discussing who appoints election commissioner. Election commissioner is an independent body, means that there is no interference of the government in the election working of election commissioner, but it is appointed by the president. What is the time period? Tenure of the chief election commissioner is either 65 years of age or 6 years duration, whichever is earlier. Okay. Now, we had told you that this is an independent body, means government does not interfere in the process of election commissioner or the working of election commissioner. So there has been several election commissioners till date, but there was one election commissioner who gained very popularity and public attention during his tenure, because he made zealous effort, or you can say hard work. He was very he makes very hard working effort to end the corruption practices in the Indian elections, and that chief commissioner was Mr. T.N. Seshan, who headed the election commission from the period of 1990 to 1996. Earlier we had only one election commissioner, but in 1980, after 1989, the two CECs were more appointed in the body. Why they were appointed? Because in 1989, the Rajiv Gandhi government at that time decreased the voting age from 21 to 18 years. So the first election commissioner was Mr. Sukumar Sen. He held the office around for 8 years and 9 months. You don't have to remember this, but I am telling you the duration with an objective in mind, and you will be knowing at the end of this video. Second one was Kalyan Sundaram. He also took office for 8 years, but 1 month ahead of Sukumar Sen. So 10 months, 8 years, 10 months was the time period. After that, the third was born S.P. Sen Verma, and he held the office for 5 years. Fourth was Nagendra Singh, and Nagendra Singh held the office for 4 years, 6 days. After Nagendra Singh, T. Swaminathan, T. Swaminathan held the post, and he held for 4 years, 4 months, 11 days, more than the predecessor, Mr. Nagendra Singh. After that, sixth was S.L. Shakdhar, and he held the post for correct 5 years. Seventh was R.K. Trivedi. R.K. Trivedi held the post for 3 years, 6 months. Eighth election commissioner was R.V.S. Peri Shastri, and duration is 5 years, 11 months. After Mr. Shastri, the first woman election commissioner was appointed. However, she was appointed for a very brief period. That was Shrimati V.S. Rama Devi, and she held the office for only 16 days. On 26 November 1990, she was appointed, and for up till 11th December 1990. After V.S. Ramadevi, we had the most dynamic and the public attention, who gained public attention, was Mr. T.N. Seshan, and T.N. Seshan held the office for 6 years. After T.N. Seshan, M.S. Gill succeeded the office for a time period of around 4 years, 6 months. Twelfth was James Michael J. Amlingdo. From 2001 to February 2004. T.S. Krishnamurthy. This was the man who was the election commission when the elections took place. 8th February, from February 2004 to May 2005. After him, next was Mr. B.B. Tandon, and the time period of B.B. Tandon was 16th May 2005 to 29th June 2006. After B.B. Tandon, it was N. Gopalaswamy, जो टीका लगा सकते N. Gopalaswamy, and the time period was 30th June, the next day from B.B. Tandon, 30th June 2006 to 20th April 2009. Mr. Naveen Chawla, successor to Mr. N. Gopalaswamy. Naveen Chawla, 21st April 2009 to 29th July 2010, only for a period of 1 year and 3 months. After Naveen Chawla, it was Mr. Qureshi, SY Qureshi. I am providing you the list because you can be asked about the predecessor or the successor of a particular chief election commissioner. So by this list you can easily remember which is who is the successor, who is the predecessor. And now SY Qureshi held the office from 30th July 2010 to 10th July 2012. To the BB Tandon, TS Krishnamurti, N Gopalakwamy, Naveen Chawla, SY Qureshi, and next is Mr. VS Sampath. These are the men who were the chief election commissioners when UP was in power from the period of 2004 to 2014. Mr. VS Sampath held the office from 11th June 2012 to 15th Jan 2015. So these are the 18th election commissioners. Now we will discuss the rest 5 also, but before that revise these. Mr. Sukumar Sen was the first election commissioner and the time period was around 8 years. Who is the longest serving chief election commissioner? It was not Sukumar Sen, it was Kalyan Sundaram who headed the chief election commission after Sukumar Sen. There is the differences of 1 month. So after that, SP Sen Verma, whose time duration was 5 years. Nagendra Singh had a duration of 4 years 6 days. T. Swaminathan, who had a time period of 4 years 4 months and 11 days. SL Shakhtar, that is 5 years. RK Trivedi, 3 years and 6 months. RVS Peri Shastri, this is Peri Shastri. RVS Peri Shastri, 5 years 11 months. Srimati VS Ramadevi, this one is important because she was the only woman chief minister till date. So she VS Ramadevi, and also the shortest tenure is of VS Ramadevi, that is of 16 days. TN Session is the most terrific or dynamic chief election commissioner till date because he grabbed the public attention so much because of the fact that he fight against the corruption in the Indian political process. After TN Session, it was MS Gill. MS Gill time period was 4 years and 6 months. After MS Gill, that was JL Lingdo. JL Lingdo has a time tenure of around 2 years 8 months. TS Krishnamurti is important because he was the man who was the chief election commissioner when UPA came to power. BB Tandon, N Gopalakwamy, Naveen Chawla, SY Qureshi, and VS Sampath. VS Sampath has a time period from 2012 to 2015, as I mentioned the dates. So after after VS Sampath, 19th election commissioner was Harishankar Brahma. Next is Naseem Zaidi. 21st was Mr. Achal Kumar Jyoti. 22 and 23, till now there are only 23 chief election commissioners have been there. So 22 was Mr. Om Prakash Rawat, and the 23rd was Mr. Sunil Arora, who is the incumbent chief election commissioner. Currently he is on at the post. This is the constitutional post. Now I will tell you why I have written the time durations in front of these. See, longest tenure of chief election commissioner. Longest tenure. Who is the longest tenure? It was Mr. Kalyan Sundaram. These are the facts. You should write these facts. Shortest tenure as a chief election commissioner, it was V.S. Ramadevi. And what was the duration? It was only 16 days. Maiden post or the first chief election commissioner was Mr. Sukumar Sen. Chief election commissioner Indo-Bangladesh war. It was Mr. Nagendra Singh. Who and post number, it was 4th election commissioner. And currently we are Mr. Sunil Arora is on the 23rd person on the post of chief election commissioner. So chief election commissioner or CEC during Kargil war. See, in the competitive examination you can be asked this question from any aspect, so you should be ready with your preparation. CEC during Kargil war was Mr. M.S. Gill. M.S. Gill was the chief election commissioner and he was at the position of 11th member. Currently it's Mr. Sunil Arora, who was the chief election commissioner when current government came to power in 2014. It was Mr. V.S. Sampath. So these are the list of chief election commissioners. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.